Funeral homes don't run on flowers and sermons alone. Behind every smooth service, every silent viewing, there's a dozen people working quietly in the background. Drivers, makeup artists, embalmers, transfer techs, and janitors. And the janitors? They see more than you'd think. They're the ones cleaning up after midnight removals, scrubbing the prep room drains, bleaching tile grout no one else bothers to notice. They're in the building when it's empty, when it echoes. This happened about 8 years ago, back when we were still using paper logs and the crematory was in a separate building out back. The janitor's name was Marcus, late 40s, worked nights, came highly recommended, polite, reliable, quiet, the kind of guy who clocked in, kept his head down, and left the place spotless by morning. He started with us in September. I remember because it was the week we brought in 6 new cases in 4 days, one of those post-holiday surges we always brace for. Marcus handled the mop and sanitation side of things, never touched the bodies, never asked questions, just cleaned what needed cleaning. He lasted 12 shifts, didn't even make it to payday. It was a Monday when he walked out. I was the last one in the building, working late on a reconstruction case. Motorcycle accident, facial trauma. Required full cranial reconstruction and restorative art. I'd been in the prep room most of the day, had just finished injecting the last of the formalin mix, and was setting the features with tissue builder when Marcus walked in. He had his cart with him, bleach spray, mop bucket, fresh gloves, normal routine. We nodded at each other, no conversation. He started in the far corner, where we usually rinse out the instruments. Maybe 5 minutes later, I stepped out into the hallway to grab the family's cosmetic reference photo. Just a minute, 2 at most. When I came back through the double doors, Marcus was gone. The mop was lying on the floor, cart tipped sideways, one of the gloves half hanging off the table. No sign of him in the prep room, none in the hallway. I checked the break room, the garage, even the cooler, just to be sure. Gone. Later that night, I found the prep room light still on, but the back door had been left ajar, the kind that leads to the loading area. That's not protocol. All exits are supposed to be locked from the inside. Always, especially with a decedent on the table. I filed an internal report, tried to call Marcus the next morning, straight to voicemail. His emergency contact didn't answer either. Finally, our front office called again to tell him his paycheck was ready. He never came back to collect it. 3 days passed before we got any kind of explanation. He left a voicemail on the funeral home line. Just after 2 a.m. I heard it myself. His voice was shaking. He said, quote, "I can't come back in there. I saw what I saw. The body, he was on the table. I swear to God it sat up, not fast, just like it woke up. I thought maybe it was gas or pressure, but then it looked at me. I'm done, I'm sorry, I won't be back. Keep the check." We archived the message per policy, but no one followed up. There was nothing to say. The body he'd been referring to, our MVA case, hadn't moved. The embalming was complete, drainage was successful. The eyes were set, jaw wired, facial tissue sutured and firm. No spasms, no venting. The room was cool. The case was confirmed by the state registrar and already dressed for the next day's viewing. And yet, there was the mop, the tipped cart, the back door ajar, the voicemail, and no Marcus. He never filed for unemployment. Never picked up his W-2. His name never came through another funeral home in the region again. But here's what made it stick with me all these years later. When I went back to the prep room that night to clean up what Marcus had left behind, I glanced at the body. Just reflex, really. The eyes were still shut, mouth secure, but the left arm was shifted. Not by much, maybe an inch, no more. But I know exactly how I position every arm. Hands folded over the abdomen, fingers interlaced, right over left, always. Now it was left over right. That doesn't happen by accident. There's no draft strong enough, no vibration subtle enough to untangle folded hands and flip them over without disturbing the rest of the body. I checked the toe tag, still sealed, sutures intact, no fluids leaked, no explanation, just a silent shift. We don't talk about Marcus anymore, not because of shame or anger, just because there's no way to explain it that sounds right. It either sounds unbelievable or worse, too believable. Prep rooms are where we prepare the dead for goodbye. But every once in a while, they're not quite done yet.